National, where he's the VP of Development and Acquisitions. Thanks for joining us
today.
Great
to have you on the show. First timer.
Great.
Yeah,
we've had your sister, your other brother.
My brother, my father.
So
yeah.
with that, give
not
me
your
that
father
setup.
yet.
No, I'm gonna get him for you.
Yeah, we're coming. But okay, so with the setup, high end was on fire the first half of last year, but it fell off a cliff in the last half. How bad is it in 2009? And let's keep it real around here.
Listen, I think everything's bad. You know, when you ultimately can't borrow money, you're not going to be able to close on apartments that are $5, $10, $15 million. You know, the fundamental problem in real estate right now is not being able to borrow money. For developers, they ultimately can't build a building. For purchasers, they can't get end financing on it. So until the banks start lending, you're not going to see real estate start moving. Yeah,
absolutely. Or even refinancing. Boy, people are having trouble just getting to refinance because they're underwater or lost a lot of the equity. I was talking earlier to Rebecca Rose Woodland, about these people that just get into these terrible situations where they're making $20,000 a year and they're thinking they can buy a $724,000 condo. And who qualifying them for that kind of loan?
It speaks, first of all, to the financial education of this country. I really think they should be teaching that in school, so a person making $40,000, doesn't think they can actually afford a $1.6 million unit. They really down the pipeline. That's not the developer's fault. The developer builds a building and sells it. If these people want to live the American dream, they're trying to buy, ultimately, these products, they can't afford it. They need to know themselves that they can't afford it.
But it should be also the lender should not pre-qualify somebody. I mean, that's obvious.
And I agree with that. We came out of a system 18 months ago where you could write your FICO score on a cocktail napkin, get 95% LTVs, get whatever you wanted, no matter what your income was. And it's unfortunate. You know, the criteria went from being so minimalistic to being so strict that now we face the exact opposite problem that we were facing 12, 18 months ago, in that people can't borrow, even the most qualified people. I've seen people who have 720 FICO scores, who make several $1 million a year, can't get financing on an apartment when they have 40% in for a $1 million unit. It doesn't make sense.
What's that doing to the real estate market, the rental market? I'm sorry, you guys control a lot of rental real estate in the city and other cities as well. Is that really actually putting a bid underneath the real estate, the rental price?
I think it certainly helps the rental, and it certainly hurts the saleable. I think we're probably going to see stronger rental for several years because people, again, simply can't afford their homes. They can't put in, if 2 years ago or a year ago you had to put in 10%, now you have to put in 40% in some markets. You go down to South Florida, you go to Southern California, Nevada. These are states where you're not getting a loan if you don't have at least 50% in. It's absolutely
now,
crazy.
Eric, that being said, I hear a lot that it's supposed to be good for the rental prices, but here in New York City, you're finally starting to see the real estate prices of sales actually collapse, the units themselves, and rental. I mean, I'm seeing 20-30% declines across the board.
You're facing another problem.
Real estate here.
You're facing another problem, which is called unemployment. With these big companies going out of business, people simply can't afford to pay New York prices anymore, and naturally you have the supply and demand kicking.
I got to tell you, though, New York held up very well. Case Shiller came out today and said about 9% year over year, whereas other cities, Miami, 29%.
I thought it's so relative at this point.
Yeah.
Eric, so what is it going to take to fix this housing market? I mean, is it the government stepping in with the $75 billion in trying to prevent foreclosures, the cram down with bankruptcy, backing Fannie and Freddie, or do we just need to let people fail, let the inventory clear out, let the market go?
I think that's a billion-dollar question. I hope the $75 million helps. I think the
billion. It's
$750 billion.
I hope that helps. I think the reality is we need to curb the delta in between supply and demand. Ultimately, by having so much supply flood the market, you naturally bring down prices. I have a friend who just bought a house in Florida 12 months ago, $350,000. His neighbor's house right now is $100,000. So he's saying there,
is that my problem? Do I need to bail that guy out?
You do, exactly. No, you don't. None of us should.
Well, but, if we live next door to you, you're worried.
His dilemma is, why not just go, drop the 10% equity I have in my house. Why not just buy the house right next door? And you get into a vicious cycle. And so hopefully by them investing these billions and billions and billions of dollars, hopefully at least that narrows the delta between the product that is available versus, the people.
Narrows the delta. That's going to cost you $2 for using a term like gamma term.
Love it. Eric Trump, thank you very much for joining us for Happy Hour. Don't be a stranger. Come back. On tap.